Gentlemen,
Love.
are we recording yet?
I believe we are. We are both recording and we're live.
Oh,
And
lovely.
we are. This will just take a couple minutes for us to be able to see. I'm going to check on Facebook. And hello, welcome to the Create Like. My name is Kelsey Lee Kate, and if you are seeing this part, you are watching on the replay. So we are letting guests come in and acclimate themselves real quick here to our setup. And so
Grab some
there,
tea,
grab some tea. What are you drinking, Billy?
peppermint tea. I'm
Oh,
getting off of a pretty nasty cold. My throat still hurts.
oh, yeah, me too. Lovely flu. But is that a Keogh
I
mug?
forgot. This is a Keogh mug. It's one that Dad made. This was one of the
Amazing.
first ones he made and fired in the new kiln. Absolutely. And of
Oh,
course, in Billy fashion, I spilled. But here it is.
oh, nice. Very nice. And
It's
this is
all over my
mine.
mouse pad. That's.
Do
Oh,
you need to grab a paper towel?
I might.
Yep, go for it. Go for it. No worries. Hello. Let's see. I'm going to look in the chat and see who's here so far. Hello. How are you tonight? Hope you're doing well. So, we are going to and my handsome guest and my brother is will be with us momentarily. So we are recording of an interview with the Create Like You podcast. And for those of you who have been around for a little while, I'm starting to do these interviews. Basically, I get to share about that I have met over the years. And there have been so many conversations with friends and family members. And there have been often times where we're sitting and I just think, man, I wish I because that was really good what you just shared. So just to start this years ago, and I've never actually done anything with it until now. Couple months I've been gathering some different recordings, and so tonight's one of them. We're trying different ways of capturing as well. So I will apologize. The quality is not stellar. But when I actually go and I edit this podcast later, it's going to be in really crisp quality, hopefully. So also
It's
in
going to be impeccable.
Leanne, let us know, will you, how the volume levels are? Because I'm still figuring that out of balance for you guys when you listen. And Billy, for you.
You look fine to me. I mean, you always look gorgeous, but
Oh. Well, you're fuzzy to
no,
me
you
here,
look
but
great.
it'll be better when we actually upload the recording later. Cool. Got 9 folks joining in so far. Cool. Welcome to my studio and to where are you sitting right now, Billy? Where are you at?
I am in my bedroom. A
Yeah.
beautiful,
What so do we?
nice little hanging plant in
Nice.
the back. Shoot, I didn't mean to do that.
And
But yeah, I am in Santa Monica. Nancy, as in Grandma Nance?
Grandma Nance, she says my volume needs to turn up. Keep talking, Billy. Where are you living right now?
Grandma Nance is in the house. What's up, Grandma? I am currently in Santa Monica, California, by the beach. I'm about a mile and a half away, so I spend most of my time in the sand, which is great. Lovely time.
It's a hard
But
not
yeah,
life.
Seattle, not life exactly. I suffered through a lot of Seattle summer. Well, it's not Seattle summers; they're the best. Seattle winters. Less than you, but it was more than enough for me.
Hey, Grandma, how is that the volume level now? Can you hear me better on this thing? Ba da da A B E F G H I J K L M N O P.
Elemental.
Da 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 da. Anyhow, okay. If it's over the top, crazy hard to hear, that's a different story. But I feel like we're a pretty good level. Better, but even more, she says. Problem is, if I do that, oh, hey, I can do this. Oh, that's better. Okay. Cool. Non-tech. Hey, Billy, say something.
Hello.
Keep going.
Hello. 1, 2, 3. On Create Like You with my sister Kelsey.
Woo. Cool. Okay. So, I think welcome, folks. So glad that you're with us. Thank you very much for joining. And just so you know, you are part of a live recording of an is for the Create Like You podcast. So I'm going to actually this is kind of a behind the curtain do this. And so I'm going to turn off the chat we won't be able to see your chat until the end, and we'll have a little Q&A maybe, right, Billy? Is that cool for a couple minutes? People.
Sure, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I feel
so
so
that will be for you folks that are in the chat live, and I'm going to type that real quick. I meant to. Okay. Feel free.
We're all here for you anyway. Take your time.
For you, broski. When did I?
It's as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Since the UW days. You are. Because mine were very short-lived, which we will talk about in a second.
It was kind of fun because I forgot about your gap year that you took with school, and actually this is fun. My bro, I'm looking forward to actually being able to ask you some of these questions more.
Yeah.
Makes me happy. Okay, so we're gonna go recording here, and we'll see if I can get through the intro without. So y'all who are watching, you are seeing the behind the scenes. What, Billy?
Before you hit record, you want me to read the bio, right?
Yes, I meant the.
Okay, perfect.
But I would love it if you would read your bio. Cool. Okay.
Absolutely.
Marker number 1. Beep. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Create Like You podcast. My name is Kelsey Lee Kate, and today I have a very to introduce you to. You might say in my life, in fact, I've actually known him all of his life. This is my brother, Billy Keogh. Hey, Billy, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's so great to be here and so great to see your lovely face, even though we're 1,000 miles apart. But thanks for inviting me in.
I know, it's good to be able to be together. What part are you exactly? Where are you right now?
California.
Yeah. How long have you lived there in Santa Monica now?
So I have been here like mid-October. Yeah, but I've been kind of bouncing around, traveling to different spots, but majority of my time is spent here. Very often I don't go to other parts of LA. It's like here. This is a beach. I'm on board. Beach. I'm working ask for. So
man, well, an electric bike apparently.
Oh my gosh, my roommate got this e-bike, and it goes up to 30 miles per hour. And may or may not have just been flying down some streets a few times, but hey,
man.
But yeah, that's
crazy.
Doing that.
Yeah.
Don't tell mom, although I'm sure. Anyways, so I guess they tell mom, fight me on it. I guess
she might even. I know, because friends at the time of streaming this to our Facebook channel, so and YouTube and Twitch and all the places. So this would actually be a good time to let you know that of this podcast. And if you go to the co website, you'll be able to see where we actually are posting these videos on a YouTube channel. Stay tuned and in the loop if you'd like to actually be able to see Billy's beautiful face. And we talked about this before. What's the origin of the mug you're sipping right here? That's really beautiful.
Yes, exactly. This is from a little known pottery shop, very important and near to both of our hearts. It's called Keogh Pottery.
Indeed.
Dad threw this in the garage. This was one of the things that he fired in his kiln when he got it. So cheers.
Oh, Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cheers. And yep, this I made for David and me. They gave us a nice neutrals set for Christmas. So we're both today. And hey, Billy, to introduce yourself, would you like to read the bio? Wait, let me do that again. That was weird. Okay. So Billy, let's get to know you a little bit more. Will you read your bio for us?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I am Seattle born and raised, currently living in Los Angeles, specifically Santa Monica. But yeah, my creative journey, so that's kind of rooted in a lot of self-exploration, discovery, kind of like rediscovery of a lot of things, because I went through a period of time in which I was very focused on other things, which is great. But it furthered and showed me the importance of creativity. So I decided to take a gap year from the University of Washington. I was going to school for computer science and software engineering. That was my 4-year plan. Graduated high school with my associate's degree. Was on to do all of that. And then the first step I took on campus, I just kind of had that core gut sense that I needed to take some time for myself and just kind of integrate, explore, see where that path led, whatever else. And then was only planning on a year. 4 years later, here we are in the midst of that 4 years amidst a pandemic, great things, because we forget that actually happened. Yeah, it's been a super unexpected journey, a journey that's taken me from, I needed to write all this down because it's been so much, but working as a studio photographer, a model, a copywriter, creative strategist, social media guy, we'll just leave it at that. Rock band manager, which that was a great time of life too. Video editor, concert photographer, doing pottery with dad in the garage, and so much more. But I think the biggest thing for me is just kind of like rooted in openness and not has really kind of paved for me. So now I'm working as a model on a contract in October. So I'm signed with they're an amazing team. I'm super great. I need work walking fashion shows and doing all this stuff that I would have never seen in a million years. But here we are. Having a good time in the midst of it. I need the opportunity to life around me. And then amidst that, I work in cybersecurity as well. And then kind of transitioning into a creative career path with them as well. Talks with utilizing the skills that I've been able to build over the last 4 years, which has been pretty cool to be able to, grow in things that I'm passionate about and then bring that into the professional sphere as well. So there is a quick synopsis, but there you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Billy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Opportunity that's not very common, probably. Let's create what you want to do and to be able to incorporate a lot of your creative self. I mean, very smart guy for doing that, for sure, because he wants to keep you.
That's a great guy. He's a great boss. Yeah.
So nice to be able to recognize your talent and your purpose beyond just the 9 to 5, or sometimes 8 to. Work from home hours are weird, aren't they?
Fair. Sandwich a photo shoot. Front end work on the back end. Yeah.
So
but
weird.
Hey, I'm grateful. Man. I'm super grateful.
Yeah. Is it hard for you to get back in the creative flow, or to get back in the workflow after you've been out and shooting something? Yeah.
So depending on how that shoot goes, yeah. If it's a really good shoot, which I would say, which I'm very grateful for, but typically I have so much energy after, so I'm just like elated. I'm like just buzzing off the walls. So to kind of go to a coffee shop and sit down, but gratefulness, gratitude resets are always great because I'm like, what? I'm grateful I get to work. So let's go and do it. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, bro, let's dig into the different kinds of art that you've been doing, and you did it real quick for us, but how did you choose the different types of art that you've wanted to delve into?
Yeah. So when we creative earlier, even 25 minutes ago, and I was we made the joke about how do we kind of encapsulate everything that I've dabbled in or kind of expressed interest in. I think there's definitely core things that I'm really excited about, but coming from a family of musicians like yourself, for those unbeknownst to Kelsey's extreme talent on the keys, if you could tell.
Thanks.
And then obviously with Courtney, good grief, Courtney Kaylee. Courtney being on the too many cuz, yeah, exactly. Good thing they got a buh in Kelly. But with Courtney on the cello and a 5-year gap later, surprised me. I think I was always a little bit starved to find my own path in that sense. So I think I naturally, and I love music in my own right, play guitar and different things. Obviously the you guys do. But I was kind of starved looking for my own creative medium. So then I found drawing and illustration and just kind of storyboarding. Had these ideas rolling around in my mind. I would build like extravagant Lego sets, whatever else, the young childhood creativity. But really kind of took a gap, but like a break from that for a while. Was really into drawing, and then became very focused on studying and very focused on kind of the path where I was going to, where I felt that I was going to go, which was originally the Air Force. So I did that in JROTC for 4 years, was very involved in that. And then I did directly after that an Ocean Research College Academy, in which I graduated high school with my associate's degree, and was very focused, very technical sides. And the entire time felt a little, I want to say uprooted from myself. So when I was talking earlier about kind of my decision to take a gap year, that was in essence me opening myself up to the possibilities, because I was so tunnel visioned in what I thought that I was meant to do, what I thought that I was trying to do, which kind of boiled a dollar figure, making a 6-figure salary, and not necessarily exploring areas that I felt impassioned in. So when I took that gap year, I was working at a coffee shop. Shout out Spotted Cow. And I found myself at this event for a company called Life and Light, which is a company up north in Seattle. They're a creative agency. They're doing amazing things now. I actually still work with them. But the coworkers that I had at the coffee shop said, hey, do you want to come through and come to this creative event? Come meet videographers, photographers, models, whatever else. I just made a pact with myself a couple of months prior when I decided to take that gap year of not studying anything. It actually wasn't even a couple of months. And it just kind of started falling into place. I got scouted by some models there, and they were like, hey, you're 6'4". My head was like floating above the crowd. You should go into our agency, look to see if you're going to get signed. I remember thinking to myself, yeah, screw it. The worst thing they can say is no. Nothing tried, nothing gained. And then got signed, which blew my mind. Started shooting with a photographer at the creative event, and then basically, long story short, really fell in love with photography, and I started that creative agency I became good friends with, and they offered me an internship, which is where I learned everything about photography, studio photography, creative direction, building mood boards, creating shot lists, set direction, set insight, studio dynamics, everything, which was an amazing experience. And I still work with them now as a creative strategist. But
that's so great. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. That preamble, essentially, to basically say, in the midst of exploration, not saying no to things has extended into a lot of other things. So in the creative sense, with managing the rock band over the summer with my good friend Callan, or doing music things here and there, or painting, or kintsugi, which is a Japanese style of art in which you repair broken pottery with golden threads. So basically, it's just not saying no, but in creative medium to kind of sum all of that up has remained photos. And this recently too, and actually journaling and writing about this. Writing is also something that's been very near and dear to my heart. Communication, but just processing why I enjoy photos so much, and thinking about kind of my background within it, and watching Dad take photos. So taking all of your senior photos, and he would always be like, "Oh man, like you make such an amazing shot," just like he always had a camera.
Yeah.
and subconsciously inspired me to try that for myself. And
Oh, that's cool.
it's a journey. I shoot a bunch of films with this guy. That's another film camera right there. So just branching into a lot of things that feel, I just, so I would say that's my, and modeling as well. I've vastly underestimated how much goes into modeling as far as being the model, which is a very interesting situation. I would have never put myself in, but yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know if that answers the question, but there you go.
That's great. A little bit more about that because part of, well, so backing up a step here, one of the reasons that it's super fun to be able to have this space is a lot of us listening in have never been where you are uniquely. And
Right.
so, just for fun, because modeling is not something that many of people have any frame of reference for. What was it like when you first started out? Were there things that surprised you about doing it? What are some things maybe as maybe if somebody's interested in doing that that you wish you would have known?
And there's so much, and it's also like that's such a multi question too, because you can get into the dynamics of when you're signed, because that was different from the perspective of I think there's a lot of things you can get into it, but I'll talk about it from the art perspective. I think speaking from my own experience, found a love for it not expect from the expression side, which I didn't get until now, and I still don't fully. It's something I can't even fully explain, because when I'm on set, and this sounds weird to say, but when I'm on set, it's almost like I switch into something else, and I'm just like a blast. It's so much fun. The energy of the set bouncing off the photographer and the creative director and the stylist on set, the art director, the production manager, and I mean, tips is, I don't know. It's such a weird industry, and I would say the biggest thing, it's honestly the biggest piece of advice I would give to anybody who wants to step into models is let it choose you, and don't put your eggs in that basket either. So, for instance, in my side, the reason why I don't say my creative medium is that, or is what else, is because there's just shut to it. It is extremely circumstantial and based on who you know. And also, it can be something, if you set your identity on it, that can completely disenfranchise you from yourself and from other people as well. And a lot of people who have over-identified with being a model, it's a really interesting dynamic, I would say. And that's getting a little bit too much in the weeds. I have to kind of circle back. Can you repeat your question for me?
Well, yeah, it was more just open ended, and it's kind of wanting to have a win in a whole different part of
Yeah.
creativity, So
Well, then I will add this as well. The modeling world is very interesting, and that's one thing, is discovering new things about it every day. It's discovering new dynamics, especially being in a city where there is an immense amount of opportunity for models just coming from. There is opportunity in Seattle, but obviously not like it is here. Just in the same frame where it's like, if I'm a software developer, there won't be as much opportunity here in LA as in Seattle. And it's not, yet it is all at the same time. And I think that it wasn't like Zoolander. It's I moved down here and I was like, oh, this is interesting. On the people that you spend time around, and the environments you find yourself within. Yeah, I would say, my own personal perspective, it's been you definitely learn as you go, and as you kind of continue, and it's based off of your relationships with other people. And I've had people that have told me a lot about the modeling industry from other seasoned models, because your mother agency doesn't really give you a lot of insight on what to do.
Really?
Yeah, at least mine did. So I learned a lot. So thank you, Jean Twed. He was an amazing guy who spoke a lot of knowledge. But yeah, I think more than anything, I really taught me the art of self-care and the art of just kind of like self-awareness and body positioning. And I think when also you're shooting as well, um, I don't know, for some reason I can just like, there's something like the camera being there for some reason, and it just kind of, but yeah. And there's different, there's editorial modeling, there's the commercial, there's freelance modeling, there's, you know, being a sign model versus a freelance model, and a lot of different things. But from the creative side, I think this is one I'd love to talk about, is what I found modeling from the creative side, because I didn't really think about that much. It's because there is that Zoolander perspective of modeling within that, right? In which is very vapid. People are very self-involved, self-interested, you know, and very, very arrogant in what they bring to the table. And what I truly fell in love with, and this is what I loved working with the creative firm and with Life and Light, was that we would just have a concept and we would shoot it. And like I was saying earlier, in which I would kind of feel an emotion. It felt like I was externalizing a lot of things. It felt like I approached my friends and I'd be like, hey, I'm feeling these emotions, or I kind of have this, or, you know, I'd scroll through Pinterest and I'd find this shot that I'd be like, okay, this build off of this. And we'd either get on location or get in studio. And then it's hard to describe, but you just kind of riff off of each other. And then the photos that you would make with the other person is interesting. And I think, I forget who said it to me, but it's modeling it as far as like being, you know, that's a tales all this time, right? I mean, with Greek art, you have all the Michelangelo, you know, depicted all of sculpture after and whatever else, and same thing with Da Vinci and, you know, the Mona Lisa. All of those are models and just kind of like different people holding their body. You know, it's based off of how the artist's reflection of the subject or artistic medium. So therefore, my favorite part about modeling too is it sets you in those environments that you would never have had access to. You get to meet a lot of creatively impassioned people who are experts at their craft and have just a wild story of how they got there. That's my favorite thing whenever I want to set, is just getting to the story of how long they've been doing this. Or it's my favorite. Do you always see yourself doing this, or what was kind of your journey to get into, you know, now? And to hear people's kind of rounded out answers is really fascinating, because it, you know, it can scale all the way from, and I would say mostly people just fell into it. And obviously you have the people that were very calculated within it, and those people are phenomenal. But I think the people are super interesting. So forever. So I should probably move on to the next conversation topic.
Reminds me of when you're talking about how, you know, let it find you, that it's also that organic, which is a very overly used word. Both being organic, I feel like, are definitely two overused words, but I suppose if someone says, oh, that's tacky, or it's because it's actually pointing to something true. Used so much, and that people think, is that actually possible? How is it possible to have those kinds of organic connections? And I mean, you're very relatable. You're very just comfortable to be around. And I know, because you've told me, and then other people have told me as well, that you're just awesome to work with, and you're fun. And that you go above and beyond. Now I'm blanking. Who was it that when you were at this recent show, you dressed Chloe, right? Because you were going to be representing jewelry for I'm trying to remember who it was that was super impressed that you actually went the extra mile, and it was just part of who you are. But that's part of. Can you tell that story? That just made me smile.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. So I had my first fashion week a couple of months ago. And, you know, I think for me, like whatever I would do, which just felt innate to me, was just to look up, you know, a designer, like whoever I'm walking for that night, right? Because typically designers per different nights of fashion week. and I would look up, the designer and see like, okay, it's this type of vibe, and then like subconsciously and consciously, I would kind of wear an outfit that would go along with it.
Yeah.
So this guy, the second designer the second night that I was there, was walking for this guy named Keenan Duffy, great guy, and he did a lot of work with Bowie back in the day. So he was doing an homage collection to Bowie. And I have these, you can show a photo of it later, but these bell-bottom pants that I found at a flea market that I was so stoked about. Still, I'm actually wearing today. And I had this this black shirt that I wore, which was actually a crop top. There you go. Hey, it wasn't like a full crop top, but almost. And I just like was wearing all my jewelry that I normally do, which is this stuff right here. This guy didn't have that yet, but this with a ring, this chain with a ring on it around my neck. And I was just like, I got there on time, and all the other models showed up late. Talked with him for a while about his artistic inspiration. This is like I get there early because I like to hear about the designer stories of why they do what they do, and what got them in the position, because I just think it's so fast here. And ended up opening and closing that night, which was pretty cool. The second fashion show ever to be opening and closing for a designer. So I was stone look. And he gave me 4 looks for the night, which is super fun. The first with this like big Target shirt and this red overcoat, like corduroy overcoat with these big lapels. They like put my hair in this massive pompadour and like eye makeup and all this stuff. And they had like ACD with like Bowie and ABBA and the Smiths. So it was a party. It was a good time. Yeah, and he wanted us to just go out and just interact with the crowds. Went out there and just vibed with the crowd. Yeah, it was great. So, but it was good.
Did you get to talk to people, or do you kind of stay in your character?
When you're walking, is that what you're asking, or are you talking about after? Oh no, yeah.
Interacting with other people, you're still in your character, right?
In your character, yeah. So what he wanted us to do was just kind of like people, or just like interact with the crowd and like make it playful. And the gal who was running the show, she was like, "You should wink at these people." Love it. So I did. Did like little spin moves here and there, and the crowd loved it. And it was funny because after I like popped my head out to go find somebody, and I got like this was also just the weirdest experience for me. But I just got like pulled aside, and people would try to take photos and whatever else, which that's where I got wasn't in character per se. Yeah. It was fun.
So fun. So, what were the other looks that night?
There was one with a cheetah shirt, which was pretty cool. There was another denim jacket that looked almost kind of like because a lot of the clothes in Keenan himself is Brit, so a lot of like Euro, well, but also like kind of callbacks to like revolutionary time period pieces and whatnot. So there was a denim jacket with that black that was back from that, which was fun. So those were the 4 looks.
You were to just walk down the street in one of these. Oh yeah, and well, wasn't the impetus for that also just the that you were going to jewelry, and then the looks kind of fell into that, or did you know ahead of time what you were going to be doing?
So that was night 1. So the jewelry one that you're thinking of is night 1. So I was going to walk for Tommy Bahama on the first night that I was there instead, but I actually got pulled in, and they switched me out for a different. They switched me out for a different model. Yeah, because I wasn't company, but they were like, "Hey, we actually want this guy instead." So they pulled me in. So that one was the jewelry night. They put me in this basic like black shirt, which was like $100,000 worth of jewelry around my neck. It was so much money. I was like, this is a lot of money. Wow. But it was cool. The pieces were awesome. It was funny. I asked the designer after. I was like, "Hey, like," I was like, "I really love your stuff. Like, how much is it?" He's like, "You don't want to know." And I was like, "Oh, cool." It's just like good to know. Thank you. Just call me poor, but you're right. Yeah, honestly, exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Well, let's kind of pull up from touchdown on the model side, and when I've seen there's different things that you've posted, and if you guys want to follow him, he's at the Billy Keogh, Keogh, which happens to be my maiden name as well. And I don't know if I mentioned this on air or if it was just beforehand, but this is my brother, Billy Keogh. Um,
If you can't tell by the resemblance.
yeah, we're told there's mannerisms that just. I'm sorry, Billy.
You can blame mom and dad for that one.
Yeah. Um. Wait. Shoot. I lost the flow. Let's get back into it. Actually, this is a good moment to pause, and I'll jump back into it. But I wanted to say, hey, the chat who are here live watching with us. We've got David Kate, Mr. Kate. Hello, baby. And just to let you know, we're going to address the questions for Billy at the end of our time together, just to keep our flow going, and then we'll do a Q&A for the to have Billy answer your questions. And we have Mr. Dane Kowalik in the chat.
Wow,
hey,
what's up, Dave? Moly, what's up, dude? That's crazy.
That's fun. Childhood friend
That's
right there.
awesome.
And Frank Guanco is also here in the chat.
What's up,
Wait, will Billy be at RSA? It's a short drive up from LA.
I will not be.
Joke.
I'll be in San Francisco, unfortunately.
Aww. Billy, so fun to have you on. I'm loving this. We've got 16 folks with us, and we've got a whole spread of people that are watching on Facebook, 2 different places, and then YouTube and Twitch. So, friends, feel free to ask a question if you want to stay around until after our interview. We'll see if maybe Billy can answer a couple for you. So glad you're with us, and that part of this experience. This is actually the second official podcast recording that I've done with people watching. So this is a fun new experience. It's a little different, but it's awesome. How are you feeling, Billy? You doing good?
Feeling great. I'm overheating a little bit because this room's getting hot, but I'm feeling great.
Is it that ring light?
No, because it's an LED. But
Oh, duh.
I'm gonna open up a window.
Yeah, do for sure. Just because my PC, if I have the door closed, it just gets hot.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, back into this, and before we were a couple of things that we were discussing that it'd be fun to talk about on the show, and one of the things I was asking you is care, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but does self-care play an important role in your schedule? And what do you do to your schedule? How does that help your productivity, your creativity, all those things?
Honestly, it's kind of everything. That's one thing I've really discovered over the last couple of years, just to ensure that you can distance, and also doing my own studies into, like the traits of highly effective people, and how much the importance of self-care for these individuals is. And then since, routines in a second, after finding a routine for myself and sticking to it, feeling the lift from that, and feeling, just practices and just kind of, this important, how much that plays into my own creativity, because, creativity does stem from your mental functions. So if you are mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted and you're not pouring back into yourself, your creative tool, per se, if you want to call it that, doesn't work. So really keeping your mind and your emotion is very important. So for me, especially over the last months, I've been getting, and I notice whenever I'm in it, I feel quite a bit different, and I'm kind of a little cranky. I want to get back because I love it, because I feel the difference. But I'll go to bed anywhere between 10:30 and 11, then I'll get up at 7, between 7 and 7:30, depending on the morning, or what I was doing the previous night, because, schedules change, and this job is very at points of time. But stretch, and I'll kind of just sit down. I have like a yoga mat right there at the bottom of my fancy, but I'll stretch, and then just kind of like integrate, feel thing, and I'll sit down and I'll just breathe anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes. My alarm goes off and I don't look at my phone for the first hour and a half of the day, if I get up at 7, just because I find that, especially, since a lot of things that I do is based in social media, I want to switch my brain into work mode right away. And especially as We are the first generation. We're the first, like, group of people to ever have this access to information, access to each other, access to all of this, as equally as it was having this technology in which you need to tap in, you as equally now need to tap out. So I find that really setting my day off without any technology, it makes a world of difference. So I don't look at my phone. I'll get up, I'll make a cup of coffee, and then I'll read. Typically, I'm not even typically, I focus on reading empowering books. So I love reading books about spirituality, mindfulness practice. Reading a book on habits. It's called The Atomic Habit. I'm about halfway through an amazing book too.
That's a good book.
And yeah, it's a really good book. And it's just really interesting because I think the moment where I feel like I'm nourishing my own spirit, my own mental cognition, I actively, like I was saying later. So, and then at 8:30, I have a standing work call every day that I hop on. So that's kind of a good idea to kind of say, okay, work time, let's get in, do it, let's go. And then exercising is another big, not like I used to. I used to be a bodybuilder. Shout out to life. So exercise for me now manifests as yoga, rock climbing, getting into running. I hate running. So I will go on walks at night, or, I'll walk a mile and a half away, which is super nice. So a longboard there, walk there.
So nice.
Last week, nice. Yeah, just kind of ways where I can just move my body and just kind of like look around, because a lot of my days can be spent sitting, either doing work for CSA, or CSA is the cloud security firm there. Doing work for CSA. I was editing photos, talking with people, sitting down, hanging out with my roommate, who's an amazing person who I met through modeling too. So that's also been a cool part with all of that I can touch on later. But healthcare really makes a difference. And I think also, my own journey with therapy last year really helped with that too. And recognizing the importance of creativity, externalization, and mental health. Because you see that, because the impetus of people's creativity is based off of their own trauma and being able to work through things. And, I've really found that to be true. Things in my own life. And I think that's why what I was saying earlier, found express a lot of things, a lot that I didn't have the verbiage around, and that my own emotional and mental maturity, because I was so young when different things have happened throughout my life. So to be able to pull back on those experiences or those situations and just kind of like creatively on the table on something, like feel like I left something on the plate. So, they does really go hand in hand. And creativity means different things for different people, and also people have different needs for creativity than other people. I find for myself, it's absolutely a lifeblood and something I need to tap into every day in one way, model my lifestyle after it. That's why I take photos and different things, because a lot of different ways that you can explain why I like to take photos. I think just finding that play between mental health, emotional health, and then creativity as well, and how those kind of work in tandem. So, yeah, I think that's that on self. It really does make a difference.
Well,
also, oh my gosh, eating.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, eating.
Diet is extremely important too.
Oh yeah. What's your typical?
Yeah.
What do you do?
What's my? I can't set myself up for that one. And figuring that out. My roommate is vegan, and so is his. More vegan foods recently, and actually finding a lift in my energy too, because I don't have heavy meals where it's like whatever else. I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. So figuring that out, having lighter breakfasts, or salad. That's important to have greens in your diet. Who would have thought? Also, not living at home anymore makes a difference, because mom and dad are no longer mainly like, did you have your greens today? Oh, I have to check myself on that. And that took a little while to be like, oh, eggs, an apple, and a few different other things that I'm not talking about today, but you know what I'm saying.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and then being busy too, that can be hard to incorporate good nutrition when you're in a hurry and all of that. It takes some pre-planning. Yeah. But before we get too far, I did want to ask you about externalization because you've times and what do you mean by that?
So I think for me, without getting too specific, um, externalization for me, what that means is like, let's say you're going through a breakup, right? There was a specific time, actually, yeah, this I can use this as an example. 2019, I was going through a breakup with this girl at the time, and I was feeling very kind of emotionally locked in. I was feeling very trapped. I was feeling very frustrated. I was feeling a lot of these emotions that I didn't fully know how to communicate. This was prior to my therapy journey as well, knowing how to name emotions and parse them through. So for me, I hit up my buddy Henry, who's still a really close friend of mine. He's in New York. He's a fashion photographer in New York. So go, Henry. Um, but I hit him up and I said, hey, I kind of have this. Like we were both just feeling angsty, as most people do in the fall time in Seattle as you're entering seasonal depression. So for me, externalizing those emotions,
Rub it in.
rub it in, hey, baby, it's fine. I'll pray for you. Um, but yeah, so what externalization kind of meant for me in that moment was, I was feeling very frustrated. So I was kind of focusing on those emotions, and um, we had, and I think because I had shot so much picture, and this is where like modeling, with externalization and everything else, and working with a photographer that you're in tune with, I just wanted to take a seamless, and we had a chain that we found in the studio, and we had a red light, and everything else was done in post production. Like music's also a really big thing for me when it comes to shooting in general. That really sets the tone. That really sets the mood. So yeah, just kind of felt those emotions and just really kind of like sank myself into them, like threw myself mentally, like which is also an acting technique, which I found in acting classes, um, is throwing myself emotionally or different situations that I was recently in with my then ex, well, and still ex girlfriend, but then recently ex girlfriend. And that's what I mean by externalization, was feeling those emotions, feeling that situation, and then bringing that energy and emotion into it as well. Because that's also
Hmm.
what I think I find too is, I think that's, if this makes any sense for people wanting to step into modeling, I think that's what really sets certain photos apart from others, is where you can tell when somebody's feeling something versus playing at something, if that makes any sense. And it's the same thing with acting
Hmm.
too, is what objectively is more believable than less believable. Are you playing at something, or are you feeling, embodying, and being something?
Hmm.
So for me, that's where externalization came in, because it was in these direct situations. I was feeling this emotion. I was feeling this conversation. I was feeling this. I was like, oh, damn it. Um, it was very interesting to see that emotion played through the camera. Um, and yeah, so there you go.
Man, was that one of the first times that you noticed being able to take photos and to feel that kind of expression? Was it around that time or
No, I would
camera and not taking the photos?
taking photos. No, I would say the first shoot that I had with that was probably my. That's also the interesting part too. Is I felt that from the beginning, but didn't cognitively realize it's something that I was doing when I was
Hmm.
having photos taken of me as a model. But I would say a situation in which mom's favorite photo shoot ever, which was the first one I did with Jack Hasto, one of my good friends, in which he was like, "Hey, like let's make this like super gritty. Let's make this like super blah." So then I took a lot of like pent up like emotion or angst or whatever, whatever you will, and just poured that into that like emotional space. And it was also on Jack for opening that up and saying like, hey, like let's, like he was the one that kind of said like, hey, like I want this to be like this kind of energy. He said like this music, whatever else, and I just kind of like slipped into it. But that was the first time, and that was shooting. I think I got signed beginning of December of 2019, and we shot like mid December or something like that. But yeah.
Hmm.
No, that was
pre-pandemic.
January 20. No, and this was that wasn't 2019. That was December of 2018. So this wasn't 2020 anyways. Minutia dates don't really matter, but we had a year's worth of freedom before.
Right. Which locations and all that. Well, it's kind of fun that you're mentioning that music sets the mood, because that reminds me of when you and I went to Discovery Park and you had brought the Bose speaker and you had the old playlist of the fun Frank Sinatra genre. And it was so fun
Yep.
because you guys, Billy took my album artwork for Poema, Stories from the Piano. And he was the one that was behind the camera capturing the lighthouse and all of those different. There still are some that I have not yet released. I need you to edit them, Billy, because I don't know how to actually make it look good. You're better at that
Shoot 'em
than
over,
I.
baby. Do a transfer.
Yeah, but yeah, it's work with you, not just. I mean, and we've done a couple shoots. We've also done one in Bellevue, and so I actually use a lot of the photos for my own stuff. And
Oh,
doing
I'm so honored.
doing. Say again. Sorry.
I said I'm so honored.
Ah, well, I feel it. It's really fun to be able to work together creatively and to kind of tap into that and fun jazz music around. And especially in high school, I got into swing dance, and so I probably had that on a lot in the house. And I would self in my room, I'd be teaching myself the Charleston, and I know we shared a wall.
We'd be dancing together. Don't you forget about that.
Yeah, actually do aerials. Did I teach you how? I don't know if we actually did them or not.
I think I was too small.
I think you might have been. Gosh.
It was a recent development that I became 6'4". So
How old were you when you did get to 6'4"? I don't remember.
18. It was like a slow rise. I really hope I'm done. I'm done buying shoes. I'm done buying pants. I'm done trying to find pants that fit. Already impossible to buy unhemmed jeans at this point. It's
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness. That's funny. Well, and so here's a fun question too, just for people in general who there seems to be those who understand fashion and those who don't. But there's also like another culture within, I suppose maybe you could say, influencer world, where you for thrifting and for finding things that are you actually were even recommending that to me to do, which I don't know if I would have time, a passion to search for items and
Time for the things you love.
Yeah, I don't love it. I'm sorry. I'd rather
Sorry.
something to wear. But
Right, exactly.
yeah, but what tips might you have? And this might be our last question for today, and I'd love to have you back. Yeah.
Of course.
Just a fun little tip about how to put an outfit together, or when you're wanting to go and to throw that don't cost $1 million, and you're on a budget.
Totally.
Stuff that's fashionable. What might be a couple tips for guys and gals that you could offer? Help a sister
Guys and
literally
gals.
out.
Help a sister out. There's two different. So there's schools of thought when fashion too, right? And there's a difference between fashion and style. And also there's this thing called drip, but we won't get into that. And the difference between fashion and style is you can buy your way into fashion. Style is relative to your personality. And I think that's where style comes into play. And that's when you can go thrifting, buying pieces that really resonate with you. You can go or curated vintage stores or markets. That's where I buy most of my stuff. A lot of this stuff is from markets. I would say kind of the biggest tip that I can give people is buy neutrals, buy things that you can stack on with each other, and buy classical styles initially and off of that. So there's something called the Capsule Wardrobe. I will say that again, the Capsule Wardrobe. That I think will really, that for me was something that I think set that apart, because wardrobe essentially is when you have your good basic white tees, your good basic black tees, tank tops, a good pair of unripped blue jeans, or not type form fittings, and black jeans as well. Some sport coats, stretch shirts, sweaters, like a good cable knit, and then black boots and then wide sneakers. And then there's other things that go into the capsule. But I think having a good baseline of clothes, because out of that kind of base right there, you can build so many different outfits. Because all the colors play well with each other. Because your blue jeans work with the white and black T-shirts, or different colors that you buy if you get a button-up shirt, whatever else. So layering from that, also type as well. And so for me, since I am long and slender, buying clothes, so for example, it's like bell-bottom jeans, I kind of gravitate towards that because they are a little bit more form-fitting and then they flip. It accentuates the length of my body. And the tank tops and whatever else. For me, the reason why I style and sense a lot of the fashion gravitate toward these, and that's just the time period I think I enjoy, because for some reason I gravitate toward. So another big piece of advice is just learning about your body type, what kind of clothes fit well with that, and then building out a capsule wardrobe. And then you can explore from there. Capsule wardrobe.
Got it. Got it. In neutrals as well, so that you can.
In neutrals, yes.
Yeah, cool. That's a great tip. Thanks for the takeaway. And gosh, okay. Here's a bonus question, which I think is a really good way to sum it up. You mentioned that creativity. There's so many different avenues for creativity, but then also there's a very real problem that people have with being so busy that they can't actually feel like they can. They don't feel like they can even start to think about something that they would be able to express or to try. And what might you say, just to give a little encouragement to those people?
Well, from somebody who's currently working 4 jobs, and provided those jobs are integrated within the creative field as well. But I think creativity in which you're being paid for creativity, or that's like monetarily attached, versus something that fills your spirit. So I think when you look at creativity from the lens of self-care as well, if that's something you feel that you need, therefore you're going to create time for it. But I would say, in this busy schedule, find inspiration to do something. Same thing, with history, with at least speaking from my own experience, being with a therapist, or even like journaling or whatever else, like sitting down and doing that, a little uncomfortable, and create time for. You have to create time for that. It's not something you necessarily find time for. That's something that I can be. I have a multitude of photos I need to look. Projects that I shot 6 months ago, that I was with at the time, but just haven't or created. But I think whatever feels most creatively impactful to you, or like a release in that moment, great. And that could literally be stretching can be creative. Almost said. Sugar, exactly. Sugar, yeah. That's but cooking is very creative, right? It's you can integrate different, because what creativity basically taking us out of the box and not falling in the habit loop, as if I'm reflecting the book that I've been reading. Creative is to add spice, add the cooking back in there, and so I don't know.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
For that later. But anyways, a concise answer. That's kind of my perspective with it, and it is truly a mindset.
Thank you for that.
Even music too, right? It's like with music to make you dance, right? And lo-fi, or if you need lo-fi to calm down, you can. Or for me, I put on the Bee Gees, start dancing because they just get me so happy. But yeah, there you go.
Yep. You have to create the time. I totally agree with that. Excuse me. A frog is
create the time to be creative,
ladies and gentlemen.
And taking a cough drop as we actually.
Yeah,
Drink
those
some
are a
water in the midst of
lifesaver.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Yes.
have any. That was the worst decision.
Yes. Okay. I don't know for. Although these aren't retakes, they're just like pause and play, which is really nice when you're editing because then you can just like tacit all this out. But still got 14 people with us right now, Billy. This is fun.
14. They all stuck around. Wow.
I love it. I love it.
You guys are really
Well,
that bored, huh?
okay. Well, let me wrap Q&A with the folks here in the chat. Well, Billy, thank you very much for those. Actually, let's try this again. Getting your hands going to be all of a sudden in front of your mouth. That won't make sense. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, Billy, thanks so much for sharing. Let me try this one more time. A little high energy, got to match it. Yeah, sip away. And cheers. Cheers to the
Cheers.
Keogh pottery beauty. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Pops.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Create space in your schedule. Basically, what you have to do, it has to be a conscious decision. And for me, really helpful is when I look at my calendar, I'll literally an open 7-week, a vertical, just of 1 week. And then I also have a printed calendar of the month as well, so I can see. And then it's really helpful when I follow it. I'm not very good at it doing to get back into it. But when you're time blocking out those things that you have to do, and you're having the appropriate estimation for how long all of it actually is pretty surprising how those time will kind of surface. We'll realize, wait, but when we're in the moment or we're scrolling on social media or what have you, our minds are constantly, we don't realize that we're not working, but we feel like we are, right? Because we're still thinking, we're still interacting with things, we're maybe watching posts or what have you. And so maybe just taking a bit of an inventory of time and where are you spending to you, oh busy person, I'll raise my hand. Maybe write down those places that you are for sure having to work, and then take a look at and give a good nod to your nutrition and also sleep. And I'm preaching to the choir again here. Man, this is up close and personal. Ouch.
Who's getting interviewed?
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for sharing your perspective. And Billy, this is so fun here on the show and be able to pick your brain about these things and hear some of your story.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It was quite lovely to have you on. Would love to have you on again sometime else. And there's so much else we could talk about with regard to touch social media or talking about experiences. And I mean, there's so much that we could have fun with and explore. If you're curious, you can find him at the Billy Keogh, and you can follow him mostly on Instagram. That's more of like the contemporary website, right? That you could think of it as that. And then the TikTok is more for fun, right? Well, yeah, unless you're doing brand deals, but we should talk about
which we're getting brand deals. Yeah, exactly.
We'll do that.
So,
but
weird.
Again, Billy, thank you. Say again.
Huh? I was just saying brand deals are weird. Just because I would have never. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, we can save that for next time. But Billy, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that the folks who are watching, I hope that you're encouraged, or watching or listening, either the video podcast or listening. I hope that you're encouraged that there are ways to be able to get creative, and also trust that if there's an art form, I want to just take Billy's talking about how the modeling just kind of found him. Maybe all you need to do is make some, and then what you really want to try doing in your free time will find you. Do you agree, Billy? Is that a good way to?
Oh yeah. Open yourself up to the possibilities and don't say no. And also, I think another thing to note as well is creativity is not always, and I would say, let's say a lot of the time it's not easy. I think people have this romanticized idea that creativity is easy and that it's natural and that it doesn't take hard work and that it doesn't take intention or discipline or whatever else, because it absolutely does. It's like practicing playing piano or learning a new skill. It requires a level of discipline I wouldn't have expected from it. So if it feels difficult, that's okay. And as to be expected.
I love that. Well, I look forward to having you back. And until next time, friends, I hope that you're inspired to do something that maybe freaks you out a little bit, maybe challenges you, but helps to tap into more of how you've been uniquely designed.
And also, if I can round about that as well, stop caring about what people think about you.
Hey, yeah.
Also, people are going to have their opinions about you and what they expect of you. And everybody has this precognition of what they think of. The only person that knows what that is for you is you. So don't not do something for fear of other people's opinions. And nobody really. So just
mic drop. Awesome. Thank you, Billy. Well, looking forward to having you back on the show sometime. Take care.
Thanks, sis. Love you.
Let me one more time. Okay. Well, Billy, thanks again so much for coming on. You again on the show sometime soon.
Of course. Thank you.
Woo. Peace.
Love
you. Cool. That's a wrap. I'm happy with that. So we have a couple questions that, Billy, are you cool to stick around and ask a couple?
Nope, I'm things to do like nothing. Of course.
Like cook some tofu or something.
They're all friends anyways. Yeah, actually, yeah. How'd you know?
Because you told me recently that you're liking to cook tofu, and now you have me interested in trying to do it.
I've made so many Buddha bowls, I burned myself out.
Buddha bowls?
The Buddha bowls.
Okay, so first question that I'm seeing here.
Numero uno.
My husband, Dr. David Kate, saying, I'm curious, Billy, what were you least prepared for when you got to LA agency? How did you handle it? That's
Was that before or after I fired the two agencies? Okay, so for those, we're not recording anymore, right?
No, but we're still live streaming. But I want
to. Oh yeah,
this
this doesn't matter. But I didn't want to have to explain it too long. So I moved down for two different contact with a different agency, and then in Seattle, and actually ended up and signing with a different one. They're just an amazing team. That's down here. They're a global agency, and they're just phenomenal. Very professional. They've opened up a lot of doors for me continually. Very empathetic people, and just like a very tight knit. I'm grateful to be with them. And what was David's question all in all?
Well, so least prepared for when you got to LA, and how did you handle that?
And this is something I've been processing a lot and kind of parsing through everybody before you, and Regis which is kind of what classically right. But I think that's something that I've really kind of found. It's like, oh, okay, people really do have something they want from you, and it can not mean anything under the sun. And you have your classic photographer stories, if you know what I'm saying. But that was kind of the big thing that was a little disheartening, because from the environment wasn't anything. It was very much give of yourself and don't expect anything in return, and connect with people earnestly. Without an agenda, without, with whatever else. So I think for me, that was a bit of a cognitive shift that I needed to recognize was that. Also, on that same front, I've been very fortunate to find incredible people down here. My roommate and his girlfriend are incredible people, and we all just this really good friends. The three also they have some friends down here that I knew from Seattle. They're different. Met them through the creative industry already down here, so was able to reconnect with them and then spend time on the importance time on myself and do all that. But yeah, again, that if people do that, in fact, have a gender, say no and say no. So it's okay to tell somebody to screw off, and that. So, but anyways.
Oh man, everyone wants a piece of. All of a sudden, something changes, and you were saying earlier that the industry, it's all in who you know, and until if those associations change or for whatever reason, then all of a sudden that's just so weird. Such a different frame of mind. Well, let me get to our questions here.
We have more than just Mr. Cates.
Yes, just a couple here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is sweet. Katya Figueroa. Let's see. Katya, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to pronounce your letter. Figueroa. Figueroa. Let me know. Is that close? She said, I wanted to thank you because you inspired me to play piano. It's been 2 years now since I started playing. Thank you
That's
for sharing
awesome.
that. That's super cool. And she's asking, as someone who's planning on moving out of their to go to Florida, what is the thing to expect most about the experience? That's a great question.
I would say walk into it without, I think that's kind of my biggest piece of advice. Just walk in very open and also expect growth in a lot of things you wouldn't have otherwise expected. Find areas that you, that for me was being in a new space. Obviously everything's alien. So understanding the environment around me, like, you know, little things like what grocery store do you go to? What gas station do you want to go to? Where do you want to walk? Or things like that, I think help a lot to kind of ground you at, and then once you kind of have your base building block of, you know, your life essentially on top of that. But explore, and just, you know, enjoy the adventure of it.
I like that. Recommend finding people that, even if it's just one or two people that you feel safe with, people that and sometimes the way that you do that is by offering yourself first and you know, getting out there and maybe trying something that gets you out of your hiking group. I don't know what there would be of hiking in Florida, or some sort of activity, you know, and just putting yourself comfortable you are with being extroverted. But it's hard. It's always hard to be extroverted at first. I'm actually an introverted introvert. I love my tea and being quiet with my cat on the couch.
You
That's
really
my yeah, I love it. Billy knows, he can attest. But it's really worth it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, just gave me a little fridge. I would have been good.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Katya, I hope that helps. Thanks for the question. And Frank Guanco said, I do have a question. Or with the world of being in front of the camera, it's so unique and different from reality. What do you do to stay grounded and to re-energize yourself? I suppose
that's a great question.
We kind of touched on some of that earlier, but if there's anything
a little bit, yeah,
comes to mind. Yeah.
Thing is just gratitude. I think that's what I've run into the most, is just like, because you absolutely a lot of what they're doing gets to their head, and they're not the most easy people to be around. They're not very fun to spend time with, and that's the person I've never wanted to be, and that's also something that would be just very sad if I felt myself go down that way. So I think one thing that I've really focused on is gratitude, and also just understanding the permanence of any. mom and dad used to always say is, in sports or in anything, take away, your function of activity of an athlete, you're now paralyzed, or, you're modeling and you get horrible burns. So, God forbid. Who are you? Or what's your relationship with yourself, but also more important, the relationship, your family, and blood or chosen family, and how to nurture those relationships. So, your close friends. That's helped me, and also, I think in any conversation too, and this has always been something for me. I'd much rather hear more about somebody else than I would ever like to say about me. Just love learning about people. So I would say, yeah, back to this gratitude thing, but gratitude really helps. Yeah.
Love it. Great answer, bro. And it says, regarding routines, a lot of people find it very difficult to build and keep a routine. Is that difficult for you? And if so, how do you build and then maintain it?
Oh, well, that's great because I'm reading all about this right now. About I find kind of your own thing that you do in the morning. That really makes a difference. So for me, actually, it wasn't, but I had for the organization that I work for, Cloud Security Alliance, my team and I, we meet at 8:30 a.m. every set, talk with each other. But having that anchor point each morning at 8:30 really helped my schedule of being able to just have for the rest of my day. And for me, understanding the importance of having time before I jump into work for my own mental health sake really kind of so yeah, having that 8:30 a.m. call is really helpful. But basically, what I've been reading a lot in my book too is, that key 8:30 a.m. call, or stretching in the morning, or maybe it's like one thing that you can really focus on. Everything else into place after that. And one thing I do as well with my own routine, I didn't mention this earlier in the self-care part, was I write out my goals and my schedule kind of for the day, handwritten in a notebook, so I can cross it off when it's done. That really helps because for a long time I had on my notes, and that did not work at all, because it's so easy to jump to other distractions when you're on your notes app. Like, oh, but wait, I should check my DMs, and then you're so.
Oops. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's great. And you have great handwriting too. You guys, he writes in cursive. Who does that anymore?
Don't tell people my secrets. God.
I love it. Let me double check. Oh, hi, Meryl. Frank says that. Aw. I don't know if they're still on anymore, but good to see you, Miss Meryl. Cool.
Hello, Meryl.
Well, I don't see any more questions here in the chat. But folks, thank you so much for hanging out.
Are we just talking?
And oh, David says hand raise. Okay, he's typing something. That's awesome. Yeah.
How many people are still left?
We have 9 left.
Wow.
Yeah. And for those of you who may be new to this whole thing of the podcast, a really great way to stay in touch is to go to createlikeyou.co, which, spoiler alert, will take you to kelseyleekate.com. Because frankly, I'm figuring out how to put all in one place, and if it needs to be 2 separate websites, and I'm figuring out. So kelseyleekate.com is safe, and if you go to kelseyleemusic.com or createlikeyou.co, takes you to the same spot. So here knows a web designer who will work for hugs. I'm just kidding, but kind of serious. I could I could appreciate. Frank says, thanks for the time, you two. Nice to listen to your story, Billy. Be well.
I'll probably see you on call very soon. I appreciate it. Thanks for staying.
Thanks for hanging out, Frank. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if David was serious about the question or if he's just playing with us, but we'll wait.
His fingers are moving at lightning.
And if not, say again.
I said his fingers are moving at lightning pace right now. Who else is on the call? Is Grandma still on?
I can't see number. So there's 9 people.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Yes. Gosh. There's it's kind of fun because I sent Billy something that's new to me. Oh, myself. David said he was raising my hand about writing in cursive. Gotcha. Yes.
Oh,
And I confess, I write in. Say, wait, what did you write? Do people ask you that, Billy? What is it that you wrote? Yeah, it's sad.
I can't read that. I'm like, okay, yeah.
So, all right, y'all. Well, just so you know, what I've been the Thursday nights is I'm alternating. So I'm doing the first and third Thursday of the month is the peaceful piano live stream, and then the second and fourth Thursday is like this, where I'm either in or doing a recorded interview, or we're doing something other creative. Yeah, I don't know. One time I actually went to our pottery studio, my dad's pottery studio, and he did a demonstration for us. We might do that again. We'll see. Yeah, so that's what we're up to. Thank you so much for visiting, you all. I hope you have a wonderful night. And Billy, thanks again for joining us. Love you.
Oh my goodness, thank you. And thank you for anybody and everybody that joined as well. Yeah, it's been a great talk.
And
I always love this.
Thanks
for inviting me in too. I feel so honored.
Aw, me too. Talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.